All right, guys, we are going to start with Selina Gomez because it's funny and we all need to have some funny on a Monday. First and foremost, the backstory of all of this leading to this moment. Obviously, we are all following this. It's hard to avoid in the news. Essentially, I know some of you guys disagree with me politically, but Trump is in fact delivering on the mandate to round up illegals. And I also want to say at the top of this, I like Selina Gomez. I was a huge Wizards of Waverly Place stan. I'm happy for her that she has found love again and is getting married to Benny Blanco, I think his name is. So I'm not a Selena Gomez hater. I think it's a little annoying that she's always like, I have needed a social media break every 2 weeks. And I also don't think she's the greatest singer. I prefer her as an actress, but all around, like, I'm rooting for her. I want things to be good for her, like I do for all of these child actors that seem to go off course. But yes, Trump, one of the mandates, one of the reasons that we did vote for him was to round up illegals, adios amigos, au revoir Haitians. It is what it is. And it is, in fact, exactly what we wanted. I'm sorry. I cannot sugarcoat that for you guys. I can't lie to you. We are tired of the crimes that shouldn't be happening, first and foremost. Like, there's nothing more infuriating than turning on the news and learning that some young girl, college student, lost her life and was killed by someone who shouldn't be here. There's nothing more infuriating than having to pay taxes and learning that the taxes that you don't want to be paying are going to people that are not citizens of this country. Okay, so anyways, we've been seeing the footage nonstop of criminals getting rounded up immediately. Trump got to work. And the best part of this, by the way, is that we are learning their rap sheets. And we are learning that these individuals are child rapists. Our federal government knew where these child rapists were living. And essentially, the Biden admin told them, you're not allowed to round them up. Okay, I guess I don't know what this is a part of. We're accepting, we're loving. They knew where these criminals were. And it took Trump getting into office and Tom Homan devising a plan to start rounding them up. It is mind-boggling. And what is incredible is that when we see them rounded up and they're caught on camera for these ride-alongs and they're asked questions, they're rude. They're confident. They're angry that, that Trump's in office and they're talking trash. Zero respect for the law, and they want us to know how little they respect the law. Take, for example, this Haitian migrant. This was caught in a Fox News ride-along. Incredible rap sheet. Truly such a criminal. Watch this clip from Fox News, which took place, by the way, this roundup in Boston.
I'm not going back to Haiti.
One of those threats is this illegal alien from Haiti. ICE says he's a gang member with 17 criminal convictions in recent years.
So, you feel me? Yo, Biden forever, bro. Thank Obama for everything that he did for me, bro.
So again, for the people who have different politics to me that watch this show, maybe just for the culture element, when you hear that, when you hear someone that has a rap sheet and has 17 crimes have been committed, right? 17 in this country. And we are talking about violent crimes that have been committed. And he's just like, thank you, Biden. I love you and I hate Trump. How does it actually make you feel? Seriously, does it make you convert a little bit in your mind? Maybe we'll get you there. Anyways, this is what we were expecting. What we were also expecting was the emotional side of the argument, because immediately when Trump's in office and we start being told, what about the children? These families, we're breaking up family. That guy right there, he might be a felon, but he's also a father. That seems to be the argument that I at least see being made all the time this year, breaking up families. And look at this child crying for his mommy or his daddy. And that argument in particular drives me insane because for years, it's, guys, that's what happens when you break the law. Doesn't matter whether you're a citizen or you're not a citizen. If you break the law, okay, let's say you're just a random guy who shoots someone, you go to prison, you get separated from your family. That's a consequence. Actions sometimes have to meet their consequences. And, that's on the parent to not do that to their child, not for society to say, well, I know he killed 10 people, but we're not going to put him in prison because how unfair would it be for their child? I mean, that's nuts, right? And so you have these sappy arguments, and I will say that they do not work on me in particular when I am as pregnant as I am at this moment, but they do always seem to find a home in Hollywood. Celebrities love a good sappy argument. They are incredible at being emotionally swayed. They are the best, very easily emotionally swayed. Apparently not when illegal murders a young woman like Laken Riley, but definitively when they start hearing that families are being separated. So Selina Gomez, okay, she hopped up onto Instagram and she started crying about the mass deportations of Mexicans, presumably because she's Mexican. And so she felt compelled. I'm sure maybe she was getting pressure from people in the comments that were saying, you're Mexican, so you have to take a stance on this and say that it's wrong for people to have to face any consequences for breaking the law. And so she did that. She obliged and she started crying on her Instagram page. We're going to roll that clip for you right now.
I just want to say that I'm so sorry. All my people are getting attacked. The children. I don't understand. I'm so sorry. I wish I could do something, but I can't. I don't know what to do. I'll try everything, I promise.
I'm not laughing, you're laughing. And so first and foremost, it's funny first of all, she put a little Mexican flag, something like, I don't know. Everybody like loves a flag during debates, like a Ukrainian flag, an Israel flag, and now we got a Mexican flag. And she's just trying to like relate to the people like, oh, but this comment, I was in stitches. This user just wrote underneath that, you know, he's like, girl, he used the B word, BITCH can barely even pretend to speak Spanish. And yeah, here she is just like relating to the amigos. And there's another reason why it's also funny. And so I want you to love with me, irrespective of what you think, even if you're on the left and you just love the idea of, I don't know, mass illegal immigration. You have to acknowledge that celebrities in general, like their solution to problems are funny because regular people, it's knowing that she set up her phone to cry that really gets me because it disturbs me. It's like what I said last week. Celebrities don't know they're insane, right? They don't know. I don't know how much money has to be in your bank account before you trip over into the insanity. I don't know how much money you have to have before you start sending text messages about being Daenerys Targaryen and having little monster dragons. Like I need to know what that number is that hits in your account where then you're like, I'm just crazy. But I guess they're called eccentric because rich people are called eccentric, poor people are called crazy. But that level where they get to eccentric, where it's picturing her setting up for that makes me laugh, right? So you have a feeling coming on. Imagine you in your life, like something happens, I don't know, you start crying hysterically, like nobody grabs their cell phone. Think about the steps there, right? Oh, I'm sad. I open my Instagram. Am I live? I am so sorry. Am I live? Is it going? Okay, it's live. Bad sir. I'm so sorry. I don't know why this happened. It's weird. It's the moment of consciousness that is weird for me, that you're thinking about your family. It tells me you're not really sad because when you cry and you're actually super upset about something, the last thing you're thinking about is social media. You're not trying to capture social media. So this only works if you're being filmed. Like, if you're on a reality TV show and then you're being filmed and so somebody captures you crying, then I might be like, oh, that's actually really sad. Like, you know, Kylie Jenner's crying, obviously doesn't want the production around to capture this, but she's her own producer. She's her own videographer and she's crying. So I think it's weird and I think it's funny and I think it's okay for us to objectively embrace the fact that Selena Gomez crying on Instagram is funny. And we have to tell them that it's funny and it's weird so they stop being weird and funny in that way. So anyways, just wanted to show you that. Selena, no hard feelings. Seriously, I hope you have an amazing wedding, but it's a little annoying that you did that. So on top of that, and this is also hilarious, if you missed it over the weekend, was this battle of the who's the tough guy between the Colombian president and Trump. Okay, so this is the Colombian president. He's funny for a lot of reasons. We're going to get into that. But essentially, part of rounding up these people is we're going, okay, where are you from? You're from Colombia. You got to go back to Colombia. Okay, I'm sorry, hombre. And so Trump gets a military plane together and he sends all of these illegals to Colombia. And guess what? The president, that Mr. Gustavo Petro is his name, posts on X that he barred U.S. planes that were carrying Colombian migrants. So these are his citizens from entering the territory because, quote, the U.S. can't treat Colombian migrants like criminals. Okay. He then demanded, so that flight had to divert to Costa Rica. He then demanded that the U.S. put procedures in place for migrants to be, quote unquote, treated with dignity. Okay. And this is weird because last year they accepted deportation flights. There were 124 planes that came from the U.S. and landed into Colombia. But President Petro said that his problem was that these deportees were on military planes rather than civilian flights. And he didn't like the way that the migrants may have been treated, which is a bizarre thing to say on the military flights. Like nobody's punching them in the face. They're just on military flights. But in his posts on X, he referenced videos that were showing the migrants and they were handcuffs and they also had their feet restrained. So I'm going to show you that footage here. And for those of you that are listening on audio, you just see a bunch of, it's not families, it's grown adult Colombian men. And they're all walking and they have their feet shackled, which you can see. Maybe you can't see from this angle, but you'll see it as we keep going on. Their feet are shackled and their hands are shackled. And so this is what has upset the president. He's like, this is inhumane. Why are their hands shackled? And this might also be what Selina Gomez doesn't understand. She doesn't understand, she says, like, why are their hands shackled? So let me help you both. Because they broke the law. Okay? I don't know if this is like a foreign concept, arresting. What happens when you get arrested? Your hands get shackled. So you are free once they land into your country, sir, to say, I don't think this is a high crime, and to ask for the keys, and we're free. You can release them wherever you want. Release them to the forests of Colombia. They can do whatever it is you want. The playas de Colombia, okay? Colombianas. That's fine. They just can't be in our country because they broke the law. And it's tremendous to me as someone who married an immigrant, okay, to go through the process legally. I'm just stunned. Do you guys not know, like Selina crying, Colombian president, did you not know there's an option to come into this country legally? That's I don't know, that just completely seems crazy. Like the only way that you can get in is through the southern border and by breaking the law, because that's not a reality. And the people that go through the process like I do, and it takes years, it just frustrates me when they are signaling to us that the years that we spent, the paperwork, the interviews that my husband and I have had to do, and they get to just go, well, we snuck in. And so now we want the rights and we want free handouts and we want welfare benefits. And that's what we got under President Biden. Anyways, so he, going back to this, narrative where the Colombian president, Petro, decides to divert the plane. He's like, I'm a tough guy. Well, it turns out Trump then, this all happened on Sunday, hits Truth Social and on X and basically says, you want to play tough guy? Here's what I'm going to do. He writes, I was just informed that 2 repatriation flights from the United States with a large number of illegal criminals were not allowed to land in Colombia. This order was given by Colombia's socialist president, Petro, who is already very unpopular amongst his people. Petro's denial of these flights has jeopardized the national security and the public safety of the United States. So I have directed my administration to immediately take the following urgent and decisive retaliatory measures. 1, emergency 25% tariffs on all goods coming into the United States. In 1 week, the 25% tariffs will be raised to 50%. So let me tell you why that's really relevant before I read the rest of these. Guess what the number one thing that Colombia exports to the United States? Roses. They're huge flower exporters, okay? And Valentine's Day is coming up. So this is the time where they just inundate us with their number one product. And now Trump's like, okay, you want to play tough guy? Well, guess what? We're going to add a 25% tax, and then it's going to go up to 50% a tariff on you sending all of this stuff in. Going back to his list, he says a travel ban and immediate visa revocations on the Colombian government officials and all of their allies and supporters. Visa sanctions on all party members, family members, and supporters of the Colombian government. Enhanced custom and border protection inspections of all Colombian nationals and cargo on national security grounds. And IEEPA Treasury, banking, and financial sanctions to be fully imposed. So he's just not playing around. And instantly, okay, first the president of Colombia, Petro, responds and says, on this is all happening on X, by the way, which is amazing. He writes, your blockade does not scare me because Colombia, besides being the country of beauty, is the heart of the world. He writes back poetry. He writes back attempted poetry to Trump saying, like, you're going to pay for this financially. But then what happened was behind the scenes, Petro's administration immediately folded, okay? In a late night news conference, the foreign minister, Luis Murillo, announced that the two countries had overcome the impasse and that Colombia would accept their returned citizens. Okay. But to make the president feel good, he said he's gonna send the presidential plane. Essentially, the Colombian Air Force One to pick them up. Buddy, if you want to send your Air Force One back and forth to pick up the illegals, we are totally cool with that. Like, this is not a problem for us at all. And so that's what's happening. Trump won. It was a 24-hour standoff. And this is what it means to have a leader at the forefront of the country, not someone who's just bending over and saying, okay, well, we'll do whatever it is that you want. And so the only thing that Petro had left was name calling. So he called Trump on X